Hey everybody, Bruce Gombrelli here. I was just starting up in the shop here and I thought, holy bejeebies, this is a good chance to give you some fun information, which I don't normally share just because it's a bunch of work to make videos and I'm not really a podcast kind of guy. Anyway, so let's check out some of my build techniques. I'm going to show you uh, polarity on pickups and things like that. I'm going to do this really quick. So let's rock and roll here. And there's the old workbench here. And what do we got here? So we got this nice little build here. This is going to be 59 custom shop pickups. Got a CTS pot here, Burns pot here. I have reasons for that. Burns pots fit in that hole at the end of the strap really easily. CTS are kind of big. You can get them in there, but sometimes they can be a little tight. You might have to take a teeny bit of meat off, but most of the time we can finagle it in there. So this is a little different because normally you'd buy and you'd have three vintage 59s. Now, what's the deal with vintage 59s and a lot of the vintage pickups? They're not reverse wound in the middle position. And some of them, like the 59s, they're literally the same pickup. And that's the way they used to do it. Makes sense. But I like to mix pickups sometimes because the middle position is such an underused position in wah-wah. You know, people go, oh, the middle pickup, I never use that thing. Well, put a different pickup in there. Get a different sound than the other pickups. That's so much fun. But I want to take it to another level because what I like to do is I like to run series parallel circuits. So what's going on with that, if you do that, and this guy is a reverse wound, you're going to get kind of a humbucker, right? And check it out. There's a good old DH1 there. And the thing you got to worry about when you're dealing with pickups and you have one that's reverse wound is what is the polarity of the poles. The poles, meaning these guys, that's your pole. And the polarity on like a 59s is going to be exactly the same because it's the same pickup. But the reverse wound is different. You see how it's flipped? And if you look at a humbucker, one pulls that way, one pulls the other way. So if you accidentally stick like a reverse wound pole that has the same polarity, it's not going to give you the effect that you think you're looking for. So there's some important considerations when you're doing wiring on what direction the pole's going. Cool. Let's flip over here. Here's another build coming out. This has two CTS pots and a super switch. When you do super switches, you usually can't. It's not a good idea to put micro switches in there because it's too dang tight. So then I always use the push pulls and on special requests the push. But these guys are noiseless, the Fender. They make many different models. Love these pickups. They really came of age, the N3, N4, and going upwards into the altars. These guys, you don't have to worry about the polarity because they're basically a stacked coil. And you can go look that up. There's a coil on top of a coil. So no problem. You can series them. You can parallel. You don't have to really worry too much. If you put a pickup in the middle that's not a noiseless, you got to give that some thought. And then things get a little wacky when you start doing things like if you're going to do HSS scenarios, because the interaction of the poles on this, which one do you tap into? And I won't go into detail there, but I've got one called the Firecracker and the other one's TNT, which is a bigger brother. And they actually run these in series with a split coil. And that's really been a nice build. And I've been using that more recently. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to make that short and sweet. But the pole polarities, when you're wiring these guys up, they do make a difference. You got to pay attention to switch locations, positions, and which switch do you use? Do you use super switch? Do you use the standard Oak Grigsby, which are just great switches? They're perfectly fine. And how you can drill and put in your switches when you use the 5-way, much, 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 much easier. And just to show you this guy, is one of my private stocks. It's called the Mint, but this has 59s all the way through it. This is not going to buck hum, but that doesn't mean it's not a good sound, right? Because sometimes people just like to take pickups, you put them in series and you get this like fat vintage sound, and it's pretty darn cool. So it's got its own. Got to think about it when you're doing builds. What are you doing with it? What's your plan? What sound are you looking for? And what do you want the switching to do? Personally, I always recommend making your default switch settings to be stock. In other words, the way the pickups would sound if you didn't have any series parallel kind of wiring. Because when you play live or you play in a studio, you want to be able to come back to that sound easily and quickly. So you flip the switches off, boom, and you're back. Anyway, have a good one. Bruce Gombrelli, Gombrelli Guitars USA. Never let anybody take your Strat away, right? Yeah, keep on rocking. Yeah. Okay, have a good one, and catch you guys later. This is part where you do a cut and all this cool music plays, right?